Car number 8
is Smith.
Right, thank you very much. 49, Stephen Ruxton Cocker. Number 50,
Scarborough.
And 94 was Adam Uren. 2, Ben Littlewood. 3, Mike Murray. 6, he's on his own. 21 is on his own. 25, Steve Smee. 28, Marcus Burnett. 55,
Rob Jones.
Okay, thank you. And 67 is Dolan. 90 is Cameron, not Jim Being, but Jim Cameron. Then we go to 29, Matthew Weymouth, and 34.
Witherington.
Okay. Then we have 64, which I think is Tom McHugh.
Yes.
And 144.
Broom.
Right, as yesterday. 126.
Pugh.
And 27.
Hancock.
109 is Ricky Coomber on his own. 131.
Peter Selden, I think, I'll double check this, but it's certainly Peter Selden at the moment.
Right, because the list I've been given says Matt Selden.
Well, the bonnet is up, but I'll have to double check. It looked like Peter driving the car to the assembly area, but he was late in. I haven't double checked this one.
All right, leave that one with you. 83 is Kevin Maxted. 139
Burke.
Is Burke, thank you. And 154 is Matt Nicol-Jones, yes. 165 is a soloist. 189 Mark Stewart. 78
McKean.
Okay, and 133
Abercrombie.
Thank you very much. That will sort us out, I think.
And 45 is in the pit lane. This is Darren Stamp, who's a reserve and may not get into the race, I think.
Yes, you think you're right about that.
Right, the bonnet is up on the Selden car, so I'll get off the podium and go and see if I can find out what the problem is.
Right, I haven't got enough cable that stretches me close enough to that car, but if I peer into it, although I can see a bit of the driver, I can't really glean enough as to know whether it's Peter or Matt. Matt is normally quite good, actually, if there's a change of driver in these cars, and he comes up and tells me, but we didn't see him at all in the Victor Meldrew Trophy qualifying, which got us wondering whether he was here or not. But I promise you, the list that's just been brought says that Matt Selden will go first. So the plot thickens a bit there. So the pole position car, as Ian makes the point, has its bonnet up on the grid at the moment. There's no green flag lap for these races, so we go straight into the race. The grid is complete as I gave it to you, and that board was, I think, 1 minute. So very quickly we're going to be into the race, assuming that this BMW is going to be fit and well. Bonnet is still up, but clearly with people peering underneath the engine cover, and that might not be starting from pole position after all. It might end up having to be pushed into the pit lane, I would have thought, if there's a problem. Everybody else is present and correct. There's the mandatory pit stop for driver changes or for the soloist to get out and get back in again. And the bonnet goes down on the 131 BMW, which we're told is Matt Selden, but we'll get confirmation of in due course. The bonnet pins are secured. Now a recovery vehicle heads that way. Is that about to be towed off the grid? Possibly. Let's just see. The recovery vehicle, as I say, is heading onto the grid. Yes, bonnet back up. And what do the marshals indicate from being on the track? I fear we may end up with a delayed start here.
It is Matt Selden, just to confirm. It is Matt Selden in the car.
Right, okay, good. Thank you for that. But the next question is, what's the problem? Which I know you won't be able to glean just yet, but clearly all is not well for that car.
Got sticky throttle, mate.
Sticking throttle.
Mate. I heard mate as well. Right, so sticking throttle. And
next question.
Is it going to get pushed off the grid? At the moment, you notice there is the D&G Recovery Range Rover trying to thread its way to the front of the grid and collect this car. And it rather looks as though if it starts at all, it'll have to start from the pit lane. So, yes, that's going to get towed off the grid, isn't it?
Yep.
So, big disappointment that, the car having gone strongly in qualifying, and with no green flag lap, no opportunity to check things, driver discovering it on the way to the grid, and it's going to have to be sorted out in the pit lane. There's another car which I think needed a push start, 25. Oh no, that's heading off the track as well. That's the Honda Integra number 25, Steve Smee, at the wheel of it, is it not? Yes, to start. And that car is making its way off the circuit, possibly. Right, so 131 is being towed away, and 25 drives off the grid. Not quite sure what that problem is all about, but anyway, that also is looking as though it might have to be a non-starter as well.
Okay, thank you. Right, the blue Honda
Yes.
has lost half its gears, but whether it's the top half or the bottom half or every other gear.
He's only got about 1 or 2, and he didn't want to pull away.
Yeah.
All the field part in
Yeah, okay. You probably heard some of that.
I did.
He only got a couple. He doesn't want to get in the way of the rest of the pack behind him.
Right. And I'm just looking to see where the car's going to next. It's not yet heading for the paddock,
gear
but
shop.
it might be.
Go to the gear shop to get some more cogs.
And the Selden BMW, now what happens to that? Is that curable?
Don't know, Gov, mate.
Mate, yes. Right, Steve Smee, I think, is heading for the paddock. Yes, 25 is a non-starter, that's gone. Which is a shame, because that's normally a quick car, isn't it,
yes.
25? Steve Smee and Martin Schofield.
Yes.
And as for the Seldens, well, the car is off the track. Now, are we ready to go? Because the rest of the grid is formed. And we should, I think now, be just about in business. So 83, which is started by Kevin Maxted, is on its own at the front. This also, of course, should put Darren Stamp into the race, shouldn't it now? We've lost 2 cars on the grid, so the first reserve should get in, I would have thought. Yes?
He's waiting at the end of the pit lane as if to join in.
Excellent. Mike Moss, quickest in qualifying, then had his times disallowed for ignoring yellow flags. He starts 10 seconds after everybody else. He is going to be a man to watch, I should have thought. Up from near the back. Although the grid I'm looking at towards the rear looks rather different from the one that was published. And I'm not sure that BMW is on that grid. It looks a little bit garbled towards the rear. But anyway, we've got what we've got. And the race underway now then. So everybody accelerates away off to paddock for the first time. The BMW is there and patiently waits. Number 4 was missing off the grid, Ray Honeybone, that car not there. Everybody else gets away, goes through paddock, in goes 45. So from the pit lane, Darren Stamp's BMW joins in now. They've all survived paddock for the first time. They go up towards Druids, and it is Kevin Maxted then who leads the way in the blue BMW from the front row, the surviving car from the front of the grid as they come downhill for the first time into Graham Hill Bend. This car that the team races with in the Classic Sports Car Club events. In second place, number 28 then, the Climax BMW in hot pursuit. Marcus Burnett at the wheel of it for the first stint, as the cars now work their way through Surtees and McLaren for the first time, heading to Clark Curve then. So up front, Kevin Maxted now, of course, into the race late. Mike Moss, 10 seconds after everybody else. He's got a real fight on his hands now, but we know that car is quick, so can he make progress as the cars power their way over the timing line? Ian, yeah?
From the pits, yes, Matt Nicol-Jones has just come and said hello to me in the pit lane, so obviously it's not him in the car at the moment, it's Mark Warnier. They had a last-minute switch.
Right, thank you very much for that. So, not Matt Nicol-Jones, Warnier first, I shall write on my piece of paper. Thank you very much. If you find any other tricks, do let us know.
Yes, quite.
Go and check everything else. Thank you. Thank you so much. Right, so Kevin Maxted leading the way. Now, very experienced driver in a series that is aimed largely at rookies, but he's being given a hard time here. Marcus Burnett coming after him, and then in third place is the very rapid Porsche of Jim Cameron. In fourth place, number 139, which is Grandad Racing's not Grandad Racing's, Team Lizard's Nissan. Steve Burke, we are told, doing the first stint in that car as the leaders now work their way out of Clark Curve, heading up towards the timing line again. So you've got the BMW in the lead of the race, over the timing line now. It's a 1 hour race, don't forget. Kevin Maxted goes through now with, in second place, Marcus Burnett. Third is Jim Cameron. In fourth place, number 139, the first stint being done in that car by Steve Burke. In fifth is the early Seat, which is of the Urans, and Adam Uran, we are told, goes first. And then in sixth place, number 133, Paul Abercrombie, with another of the many Clios that we have in this. There's a yellow flag being waved because we have lost that car coming out of paddock. It has spun going up the hill, and so Paul Abercrombie no longer is in sixth place. Instead, there is a very big gap where we did have a sixth place car, and that now is going to be plugged by number 93, Kester Cook's Big Skids Ford Fiesta. The top 2 BMWs then have got themselves absolutely nose and tail coming up through Clark Curve, heading towards the end of lap number 3. Kevin Maxted at the wheel of the leading BMW, now making his way up towards the timing line. Through he goes. In second place is number 28 then, Marcus Burnett at the wheel of the Climax car. And for third spot, Jim Cameron's Porsche. Now that, rather than catching the leaders, is under pressure. Yes, 139, the Team Lizard Nissan 350. Steve Burke getting closer and closer all the time. What other battles have we got? Mark Warnier going through. Yes, having a very good little scrap there with another of the Clios. Which one is that? That is 21, I think, Will Jackson Moore's car. Ian?
A query from the pits from one of the teams. What time does the pit lane open? How many minutes into the race is another way of asking the question, I suppose.
I was hoping you were going to tell me. I thought it was a 1/3 to 2/3.
Yes, I think it's 1/3 to 2/3 as well. So it should be therefore 20 minutes into the race.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's nobody up here I can ask. Oh, it's in the programme. 15 to 45.
15 to 45. So 50 minutes into the race is the answer. Yeah. Thank you.
And it's a 1 minute. Two driver teams must complete a 1 minute 50 seconds pit stop. Solo entries must complete a 2 minute stop.
Right.
But 15 to 45, so it's quite a long window, or a wide window.
Yeah.
And the leading gap is not very wide at all. It's 11/10 of a second, and Jim Cameron gets attacked going then through paddock by Steve Burke in the Nissan. The distinctive yellow Porsche is on the outside line heading up the hill going into Druids and loses out. Yes, because Steve Burke goes through on the inside line. So again, proving the variety in this. It's almost like a GT race. Nissan goes ahead of Porsche, and then behind you've got the Seat going strongly in the hands of Adam Uren. That being the car entered for Bab Motorsport. Race leader then, Kevin Maxted, turning his way up towards McLaren. Kevin, who goes back many, many years, the Gas Shocks BMW, heading up towards the line. Remember I told you that we'd had a spin for 133 of Paul Abercrombie. Well, that car has rejoined, but down in 30th place. It was 6th, the Meridian Motorsport 2 Clio, but now it is in 30th spot, having just got past Ninesh Inamdar in his first ever race. The leaders go through, and looking a bit menacing now is the third place Nissan. It's catching the second placed BMW of Marcus Burnett. And then for fourth and fifth, having lost a place, Jim Cameron's coming under pressure from Adam Uren. In sixth place on his own is Kester Cook. And then seventh, another good little train of cars here, is 78 first of all, which is the Granny Turismo Ed McKean, Richard Evans BMW, Ed McKean at the wheel of it. And then the Lotus behind, number 50, of David Scarborough. In ninth place, David Thomas. Now he's one of the soloists in the yellow Clio. And to round out the top 10, the South Africans, Mike Moraes, who is at the wheel to begin with, in the Seat. Now, Mike Moss, from his 10-second delayed start, is up into 19th place, number 79, the white BMW, and that's about to become one better in a straight line because he's about to get past 189 on Cooper Straight, 189 being the Mark Stewart and Chris Ledbury Honda Integra. Mark Stewart at the wheel of it. He's also sorted out number 12 BMW on this lap, which is the Lima Alpha racing car of Simon Barnard, the rather anonymous blue BMW. So in other words, Mike Moss, number 79, getting quicker and quicker, stronger and stronger as he worked his way through the traffic. The leaders have gone by well clear, and the fastest lap of the race now done by Mike Moss. Even though he's in traffic, he's just gone quicker than anybody. We've got then the Mark Warnier Mazda 14th as the next target, but Mike Moss up from the back of the grid, and with a 10-second delayed start. Remember, if it's a technical infringement or an exclusion, you start with the penalty. And just looking down to see 131, which never got into the race, about to be towed back to the pit, to the paddock. So the Seldon's BMW, having got one in qualifying, never got into the race. It's about to be retired hurt as effectively a non-starter. The lead gap is 3 seconds. Now, as I say, the fastest lap of the race done by Mike Moss in number 79, and the next car that he was trying to catch was Mark Warnier, but he's gone off, I fear, at Clearways. There is one car slow, and it's him, and also in grief is number 8. Now, has there been a bit of contact? Were they near each other? Yes, they were. So there's been a bit of a coming together, I think. Number 8 with rear damage goes across the line. Mike Moss, novice driver, goes through. Very quick car that, but it was the BUC racing car of Stuart Smith and Mark Flower. Stuart Smith at the wheel of it that was attacked there, I think, and so a bit of a coming together. Both were delayed. Mike Moss continues. He is now running in 20th place, so it's a bit of a snakes and ladders run this for him. He was climbing, now he's slithered back down again, but he should have the pace to regroup from that. Can he win the race? It's a tall order, especially as he's about 2/3 of a lap down now on the leading car, which is that of Kevin Maxted, which is heading up towards Druids. His gap in turn is 3.5 seconds over Marcos Burnett in second place in the yellow BM, and then in third it's 1:39. Darren Burke still looking strong in the Nissan. Fourth is number 90 Jim Cameron. Fifth is 94 Ben Uren, and in sixth place Kester Cook in the Fiesta, who last time did his fastest lap of the race. starting to get a bit closer then to the traffic ahead. 51 minutes remain. Right, I'm waiting for another lap by Mike Moss. It's a 56.2. He's still lapping quicker than the race leader at the moment. So when traffic doesn't get in his way, Mike Moss can bring down the lap times and start to work his way through traffic. So there is still progress to be made for that car, as we are now on lap 9. Yesterday's equivalent race, if you like, not the team trophy, but the track day trophy, had 3 safety car periods. I know it was on a wet and greasy road, but at the end of that, the drivers had done 36 laps. So I would think without safety cars and on a drier road, we're looking at laps in the mid-40s, and we've done 10 of them already, as may even be up to 50 laps by the end. David Thomas, who went strongly yesterday, goes through. His Clio dropping away a little bit from 93 Kester Cook. The lead gap, 3.8 seconds. But we're only about now 5 minutes or so away from the pit window opening. And if you've got a slower co-driver, it makes sense to bring him in early. But I think you've got a damaged Honda in as well.
Well, I've got a damaged BMW in.
Oh, right, okay.
Number 8, they've had a look at the back of it. I'm afraid it was up at the wrong end of the pit lane from where I was. And it's trickling down the pit lane. The driver still has his crash helmet on, as if he's... Yes, he may well be going back into the race, but the rear end of the car has all come off.
Yes, that was after that contact with Mike Moss, wasn't it?
So they're having a conversation about whether the car should be let out again. Scrutineer checking the back end, giving the car a pat, and
that'll help, yes.
That makes it feel better.
There.
And back into the race it goes. Number 8, Mark Flower still at the wheel, because we're not yet into the window, as he said.
Stuart Smith at the wheel, I think.
Stuart Smith was what that's right, Stuart Smith, yes. Whatever I told you is correct. But what I said then was wrong, if you follow me.
It's always correct here. Never question
No,
it.
it's can be wrong.
Never question it.
It's Stuart Smith who drives the car at the moment, yes.
Right. 79, Mike Moss is very definitely becoming a star of the race, because from this 10-second penalty mark, and with his little coming together and losing places, he's back up into 12th spot now. And his lap times are quicker than the leaders. I know it's a slightly more modified and it's a newer BMW, but for a guy who is a newcomer to racing, Mike Moss doing a very good job indeed in that car. So it's his second ever race. His first outing was at Donington in April, but the information we have is that it's only his second ever race. Well, we had a guy in his second race ever who won yesterday, didn't we, in Henry Curtis? Can we have a second race double, as it were? Certainly going strongly is Mike Moss. Over the timing line he goes. He's now up into 11th. The next target is number 3, which is the Seat, the first stint being taken by Mike Moraes, the Seat Leon Cupra R. So progress still being made. And there is, as they say, a long way to go, because there are just under 49 minutes still to run.
But already 1 or 2 drivers putting their helmets on, ready to take the car over. But in most cases, I think it's going to be half and half, isn't it?
I think that's how it tends to divvy up. We've got the traffic now becoming a real factor. Nilesh Inandar in his first ever race getting in the way a little bit of the Porsche number 64, which is the McHugh family car, being started by Tom, and that in turn is coming under pressure from number 12, the BMW of Simon Barnard, which had lost the place, but now that the Porsche is being delayed, so Simon Barnard fights back. We've done 12 laps. The lead gap is still a modest one, 4.4 seconds. Over the timing line in a moment will come the number 27 Honda CRX. You don't see very many of those racing anymore. Of course, a car that used to have its own one-make championship. Andy Hancock at the wheel of it, and that's in 14th place overall. Where's Mike Moss got to? He's up into 9th place now. He's just carving through the field, isn't he, in the BMW? So 79, Mike Moss working his way towards the front. This is the Fingers and Pies entry from Class A, where it's got 200 bhp per tonne. And more traffic being sorted out. Yes, going up towards Surtees. The next target on the lap was 78, the BMW in the hands of Ed McKean. I think that's been swatted aside. The old works rapid fit Ford touring car livery adorning the Mondeo that's just gone over the timing line. The car that was racing yesterday, Mark Witherington. That goes through. Mike Moss, number 79, is now 8th. The next target is David Thomas's yellow Clio. Now, that's 7 seconds up the road. It's going to take him a few laps to get there. And we've got a Clio that's off in the gravel over on the outside of Clearways And that's 21, which is the Will Jackson Moore car, is it not? The 2B Monkeys car, and the marshals have gone to it, and I fear this might be a safety car to get that out of the way. We'll wait and see what Barry Morris, who is the clerk for this race, decides to do, but that car might be deemed to be in too awkward a place. Mike Moss has done the fastest lap of the race. This would help him if it all became bunched up, wouldn't it? Because all the gaps ahead of him would be reduced. And it's going to happen, potentially, with the pit window imminent, because we are a minute and a half off the pit window opening. So if we are going to have a neutralisation, it's going to be at a very busy part of the race. But there is as yet no suggestion of that. The car's sitting in the gravel, and as long as people behave themselves, they could continue to race by. The leaders have done 14 laps. The gap first to 8th is 40 seconds, so it's the best part of a lap between Kevin Maxted and Mike Moss. Remember, he started 10 seconds late. He's been delayed in traffic. He's had a moment. The leader goes by, having just put a lap on Mark Warnier, sharing with Matt Nichol-Jones. 28 in second place, 'twas ever thus really, Marcos Burnett, not making progress towards the leaders. Third is 139 Steve Burke in the Nissan, which has certainly shaken off Jim Cameron's Porsche, having worked her way by. That gap has really opened up. Fifth, number 94, Adam Uren in the Seat. And to round out the top 6, number 93, Kester Cook. Right here is the David Thomas Clio that comes over the timing line, being chased by Mike Moss, who should have done a good lap time there, I would have thought, because he's got no traffic around him. And Mike Moss does a 55.9. He does bring down the gap, but not massively. That's quite modest, that lap, compared to what he was doing earlier on. So Mike Moss, although he's still closing, not closing with quite the same vigour as he was early on in the race. I'm still looking over to Clearways, where I think now the yellow flags have been withdrawn. The white Clio that sits in the gravel, and if the yellows are in, then I think the feeling is that the drivers have gone past it often enough to know that it's going to be there, and they will take the necessary reduction in pace to get through the incident zone safely. The pit lane is now open, so it's going to get busy, I think, now, Ian. You're going to have pit visitors with half an hour, effectively, for the window to stay open. From the pits, Mike Moss comes in. Now, this possibly is a very good idea. Get the pit stop out of the way very early in the pit window, and then he can just carry on charging to the end of the race. And he comes.
Good thinking, this, and you say he's only in his second ever race, so yes, he comes into the pits. He's at the top end of the pit lane. The car comes to a halt. 2 minutes if you're on your own, isn't it?
Yeah.
You have to be stationary. They're making a quick check on the car, of course, because he was involved in that incident, wasn't he?
Correct.
So it may have inflicted a bit of damage on the car. Did he have to get out? He's getting out anyway and run around the car.
Certainly from yesterday's track day trophy, yes, get out, get back in again.
Yes, get it. You have to go around the car. You just bobble and kick it.
But you've got 2 minutes, so you might as well do something.
Yeah, so he gets out, stands by the car, gets back in again.
Okay.
And was he hit in the front or the back? Was it?
Well, I'm guessing he was the front because it was rear damage on the other car. So I think he was the aggressor.
Yes, it's all a bit muddy there. Yes, it's a bit scraped on the left-hand side, but nothing too serious. There's nothing that needs taping up or anything like that. So they're strapping him in again.
Okay.
And very good thinking by the bubbleandkick.com, who are responsible for the preparation of this car. So he's sitting patiently here, waiting for the 2 minutes to expire, which is a couple of laps, isn't it? Or two or more, actually. Yeah. So he's fired his engine up. Very important that they don't release him too soon. So still sitting here, looking at the car, and it's a perfectly executed pit stop.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I don't know what's happening on the track. He'll be released. Nobody else has come in.
No, not yet. So we're on lap 19. It is still 83 Kevin Maxted leading, but we've got another car that has spun up at Druids. It's hidden behind the trees, and on television, it's number 8, which has already had one incident with the car in the pit lane, and it rejoins now Stuart Smith. So it's had one incident with Mike Moss. It's had another one up at Druids, but it has rejoined from that as well.
And Mike Moss rejoins the race now, and left a bit of gravel behind in the pit lane, but otherwise all's fine, and he's back in the race now, but obviously a long way down the order for the moment.
Okay, but that will, as you suggest, for the moment, all unwind when other pit stops cycle through. Now up into second place has come 139. This is the Nissan 350Z, Steve Burke at the wheel of it, the 29-year-old, as he called himself, IT geek, having had 3 years worth of racing in the Nippon Trophy, now turning his attention to the Team Trophy instead, with this 3.5 litre Nissan. So he's 4.4 seconds back, and at the moment lapping quicker than the race leader. Now some of that you can put down to traffic, yes, but even so, it's going strongly, that car. Mike Moss then back into the race. I'll give you his position next time around, but we've also got the Joneses Golf into the pit lane.
That's Father Jones coming in to hand over to his son, number 55, the Golf GTI. So they can have a slightly shorter pit stop than we saw for Mike Moss, because it's a two-driver car. They were probably mid-order, were they, or a little bit lower than that?
Lost them. 24th when they came into the pits, yes.
So it's totally straightforward pit stop. Well, it would be if Dad could get his belts undone. Of course, the Golf GTI, a car that is raceable in another MSVR series, which is for Mark II Golfs, of which this is one. We've got the rather more modern little hatchback coming in, number 93, Kester Cook's car, the Kester Cook's Ford Focus. Ford Fiesta.
Ford Fiesta Z-Tech, yeah, it's going quite strongly, that car. Mike Moss is 29th, but of course that is because of the long pit stop. The gap between the leaders has gone up a little bit, but of course it's this new situation. Steve Burke chasing after Kevin Maxted now. Right,
I think the Jones car is about to rejoin. Not much evidence of a stopwatch here, but they probably...
for second to third, the gap is nothing at all now. Marcus Burnett in traffic has got back onto the tail of Steve Burke in the Nissan. They go nose to tail up towards Druids, and round the outside there goes the yellow BMW back up into second place. So Marcus Burnett goes round the outside. He doesn't quite work there, but he's on the inside line for Graham Hill Bend, and he's going to break it as he does, and the Nissan gets caught up in traffic and goes straight on all over the grass. And whoops, number 12, James Barnard, I think got a bit of a tap in the tail from Marcus Burnett there, and had a real old tank slapper over the grass as he sorted himself out. No, I think he might have had a spin there. He's not come back into my view behind the building. So that all started with side-by-side at Druids. Then they got caught up in traffic. And yes, the Nissan, in the hands of Steve Burke, braked as late as it could for Graham Hill Bend with a slower car ahead, and he locked up and he got on the grass in avoidance and skated off. Marcus Burnett then is back into second, but I think he might just have tagged the rear of number 12, James Barnard's BMW. And I'm afraid that 81, the Ford Focus, looks like it's expiring on Cooper Straight. This is Paul Hatton's car, which has slowed right down.
Into the pits has come number 181, the Mini.
Right. And we've got a car, yes, 81, stationary on the track. Oh dear. Clearly it is not well, but you would have hoped that a driver might have edged it towards the grass. Paul Hatton has parked on the circuit. This, I do fear, is going to need retrieval.
Ricky Cooper in the number 109, Honda Integra Type R. He's a soloist. His other driver not taking part, so he gets out of the car, stands to attention, gets back in the car.
Okay.
And this looks like number 18 again.
Sorry to interrupt you, the safety car is on standby. Its lights are flashing. We've got a bit of debris on the road as well, a legacy of that earlier drama I was talking about, but it's the Ford Focus that's stranded, I think. It won't take long to move it. It's near the access point, but we are going to go safety car. Yes, safety car is deployed, and the leader is 83 BMW Kevin Maxted, which is the car coming down to Graham Hill Bend now. Safety car is on track, and this, I would imagine, is going to bring a whole heap of people into the pit lane.
Already in is the number 8 car, as I said. Stuart Smith coming in to hand over to Mark Flower. Mark Warnier down the pit lane in 154. I won't call them all out, David, because you can see on the screen, and we're just getting everybody coming in now. There's going to be some queues forming in certain pit areas where one team prepares a number of cars.
I'll let you know the significant pit stoppers. The safety car has not collected the leader, irritatingly, so whether that's going to be resolved, I don't know, because of course the next problem is what happens when the leader pits. And is that going to happen this time? Kevin Maxted is coming into Clark Curve and is going to carry on, and Mike Moss is on his tail. So Mike Moss, of course, has done his pit stop, got that out of the way. Safety car comes through, so the leading car is 1, 2, 3, 4th in the line. And Kester Cook, Jones and Stamp are the three that shouldn't be behind the safety car but have been collected.
You've got 2 pit stoppers, in fact, the first 2 cars in the line at the moment.
Yeah. And then Darren Stamp, then Kevin Maxted, the leader, then Mike Moss, who's, as you say, also a pit stopper. And he now is 22nd. But if you make your pit stop now, of course, 2 minutes under a safety car is not going to be as damaging as 2 minutes under a live situation. Right, Paul Hatton's Focus is being pushed from one side of the road to the other, and I think, yes, as the back markers are let by the safety car, that it won't be long before we can go back to racing. The track is just about clear. It cost those cars time, of course, but at least now we've got the correct car behind the safety car.
Now, Marcos Burnett and William Burnett are swapping over. Now, Marcos, where was he when he came in?
He had been running second early on,
yes,
and then down to third.
Have a quick word, Marcos. You were having quite an exciting race, I think. You're up in second and third places. It was all getting quite exciting at one stage.
Jolly good fun, yeah. We were tangling with the Nissan, and yeah, a really good race.
Have you had any moments to speak of? Were you on the grass or having a spin at one stage?
No, we've not had a spin this weekend, but we had quite a few incidents there around paddock. I thought a couple of times we were looking
Getting
like
close.
it could go wrong. Yeah,
Teetering on the brink, but you didn't quite get over it.
Absolutely.
Well, I hope it gets on well. Is it your dad in the car now?
Yeah, Bill, my dad's now going out, so
you're wanted, I think. Yeah. I'm interrupting the Burnett process, but certainly Marcos very happy with the way things have gone. His father down in the car. David, back to you.
Now, James Barnard's BMW, remember I said it had its spin when it was tangling with Marcus Burnett. That has not rejoined. It's hidden behind the building, but it didn't get going again, and that, I think, also needs retrieving, not just the Ford Focus. So that's going to elongate this safety car period just a little bit. So the blue BMW, which I think I said before the race started, is often a bit anonymous, is now drawing attention to itself because it needs recovery. The leader is in, however. Kevin Maxted has come in to give way to Nick Starkey. Jim Cameron has come in to give way to George Wright in the Porsche.
And we've also got the number 78 BMW in, the Gran Turismo car that won at Snetterton 2 weeks ago in the Track Day Trophy race. This is Edward McKean to hand over to Richard Evans.
First reserve, so lucky to get into the race in a way.
Where was it in the order? Oh, it's difficult to tell.
It is now.
Yeah.
It was in the top 10 from memory.
Yes.
But only just. Right, so we now have number 94, Adam Uren, as the leader, and 139, the Nissan, which has yet to stop. Steve Burke is in second place. Remember, he lost time by going on the grass in avoidance of traffic while battling. So the car that's now behind the safety car is 79, Mike Moss, pretending to lead. And he's actually in 22nd place, now up into 19th place. So the order continues to shuffle. Where behind the queue is the 94 Seat. Lost it for the moment. What a leading car.
Yeah, the Seat in. But that was well up, wasn't it?
That's the leader. The leader,
Ends, yes, it had become the leader, had it? Yeah.
And the Nissan that was second is in as well now. So it all continues to change while we have the safety car. We're not quite at halfway. We're about 3.5 minutes away from that. And as I say, it's because of the James Barnard number 12 BMW needing to be... Simon Barnard BMW, I do apologise, needing to be retrieved, that we have the safety car. Down the pit lane comes David Thomas's Clio.
Yes, that was quite... yes, was that on the limits? I suppose it was, just about.
Well, what happened to that car yesterday, Ian?
It was going too quickly down the pit lane, wasn't it?
Was it, or was it too short a pit stop?
Oh, too short, that's right.
Either way, it had a stop-go penalty.
Too short a pit stop, you're quite right.
Yeah. But yes, it transgressed, let's put it that way. So we've got the cars then currently on the lead lap. 26 is the lead lap. Mike Moss, who has done the fastest lap of the race, comes up over the timing line behind the safety car. The Caterham, we've not really talked about the Caterham very much yet, but that is their 67 Martin Dolan and Gary Boone's car, and that for the moment leads the way because it's yet to make a pit stop. And second, also yet to make a pit stop, is number 29, which is the Mad Motorsport BMW of Matthew Weymouth. Now, after the pit stops, 28, now Bill Burnett, has taken over the lead ahead of Nick Starkey. So, not by much, but we've had a change for the lead on the pit stops. Third is George Wright's Porsche, third of the pit stoppers. So the real race order when we get going is going to be 28 ahead of 83 ahead of 90. And the leading cars have done 26 laps, but Mike Moss is still effectively 2 laps down. because these pit stops, although they've taken 2 minutes, haven't cost the drivers as much as they would, like it cost Mike Moss when the track was live. So it was a good idea, but this safety car has hindered him involuntarily. 133 Clio I see is in the pit lane. Now that did have a spin, remember, when it was in 6th place, when Paul Abercrombie lost it, and Rob Ellis now takes over.
Yes, Paul, I think you had a spin at one stage in that race, didn't you?
Yes, unfortunately, it was quite cold and greasy going into paddock, so back just stepped out a little bit, and yeah, offline it's very slippy.
But you recovered well, do you feel?
Yeah, it's difficult to tell with pit stops and where people are on the circuit, but every car we come up in front of, we was trying to get past. The guys were talking on the radio, so yeah, we think we was making up some good time. So.
And how about Rob? Is he as quick as you or quicker?
Hopefully as quick.
All right, okay. Not quicker. Good answer that. Well done.
Only Rob's second race, so yeah, unfortunately, we'll find out.
Well, we're about to find out, but as you say, hopefully he's going to be as quick as you were. Right. Thank you very much. Back to you, David.
Thanks, Ian. Yes, I just briefly took my headset off and legged it outside to have a look at the recovery of the BMW. When I last saw it, Simon Barnard was all sideways having a tank slapper. Now I can see the car, it's got front damage, so I'm afraid the tank slapper was not saved, and he's clearly hit the barrier, and the car is on a flatbed, so it's almost been recovered, but a great shame that that car has ended its season with some damage. But this championship is a great idea, and it brings such variety, not just in terms of car, but in terms of driver experience. You can come into this as a complete novice, or you can move into it from other series if you so desire, and full grids and good racing and lots of track time, and it's a winner, isn't it?
Indeed. Have we had everybody in the pits now?
No. The top two
Curious.
are still to pit, which means that the pretend leader is 67 Caterham of Martin Dolan, and pretend second is 29 BMW Matthew Weymouth.
But the leading pit stopper is...
now, as I say, Bill Burnett. So on the pit stops, we've had that change of lead, and he has got 2 slower cars between himself and Nick Starkey. And then there's one slower car, Matt Nicol-Jones' slower car, you know what I mean, between that and the third place car, which is now George Wright in the Porsche.
We reckon your car is going to be leading once the other two behind the safety car pull off, so come and make their mandatory pit stops. Are you pleased about that?
I think that's fantastic news. I'm not just pleased my dad doesn't know, otherwise he'd probably be nervous.
Is he as quick as you or quicker?
He's normally quicker.
Oh, right, okay, well, so you've got a good chance of winning this then?
It's sometimes.
We'll wait and see. Yes, okay. There's one screen behind you here, which there's very few screens in the pit lane, David. That's it. So everybody's very much in the dark.
And the safety car is in this lap, so we're about to go racing once again. The field is quite strung out. Some are still going up towards Druids as the leaders come out of Clark Curve, and the leading car is 2 laps down, effectively, because in 18th place, Mike Moss is a long way back after being delayed by that safety car, but he accelerates away. The 2 that have yet to pit go through, and where is Bill Burnett to be found? There he is now, going over the line, gets on with the job, comes up to put a lap on the now Jamie McHugh Porsche, diving in towards paddock. He goes through. Nick Starkey going through in second place. In third is number 90 George Wright's Porsche. And then David Thomas, he's going to be next up, isn't he? Yes, in really 4th place, number 6, the yellow Clio. So although leading on the track is 67, the Caterham Academy, as it's entered, Martin Dolan's car, that's yet to stop, so it's going to fade away. And 29, BMW, which is currently being driven by Matthew Weymouth for Mad Motorsport. Adam McKeever will take over. That too is going to drop away when we go through the pit stops. 28.5 minutes remain then. Mike Moss, clear road ahead of him, carving his way as best he can into contention, but he is a long way back, getting onto terms with anybody else now, because he's got to make up virtually a full lap before he can start attacking anybody, and he's 2 laps down on the race leader. Bill Burnett in traffic, coming up over the timing line. They're 3 wide and almost a bit of a brush there with another of the Renaults. Number 2, that was the Gary Littlewood driven Clio that got a bit close to him. Nick Starkey diving up on the inside, going into paddock. He's alongside the Fiesta of Kester Cook, though, to try to put a lap on him, and he couldn't get past, but he can now, going up towards Druids. So the lead battle is getting closer and closer now. Nick Starkey is almost up on the tail of the yellow BMW in the hands of Bill Burnett, coming down towards Graham Hill Bend. It's game on between these two as they break for the corner. And then in 3rd place behind, George Wright in the yellow Porsche. Now that is not expected to be as quick in the second stint as it was in the first, in the hands of Jim Cameron. So is that going to drop back a little bit? If it does, it'll be into the clutches of number 139, which has now got Mark Gillam at the wheel. This is a Nissan 350 that was up into second place at one point, and Mark Gillam, who used to race in the Fun Cup in the VW-based series, is the man behind the wheel of the car now. The Caterham comes in after a very long first stint, and the leaders as they go side by side in towards paddock. On the inside line is Burnett, on the outside line is Nick Starkey. Bill Burnett hangs on to the race lead, but a tremendous fight going on between the two BMWs. Yes, Ian?
I'm just going to tell you the Caterhams come in. Sorry, you got there first.
Okay, and that, I'm afraid, is now going to drop down the order. That gives you as the pretend leader, number 29, Matthew Weymouth, but that also has yet to stop. So the real lead is BMW biased, and it's between the yellow car, number 28, Bill Burnett, and right on his tail now, number 83, Nick Starkey, as the two of them work their way up towards Surtees, and Nick Starkey has a go, but Bill Burnett defends pretty vigorously there, going towards Surtees, heading up towards McLaren now. We've got 26.5 minutes to go. Yesterday's track day trophy race had a tremendous lead battle that went right to the last lap of the race. Can we get the same sort of result out of this as the cars now work their way up towards the line, heading to the completion of lap number 32. They are absolutely nose to tail as they go past the pits then. 28 is the leading car. It's Bill Burnett, 0.2 of a second, that's all, ahead of Nick Starkey.
Number 29 BMW in.
Right, yep. So
That's the other one that you needed, wasn't it?
Exactly, that's now everybody done, so that will lose 2 minutes and sort of end up where it should be, in a sense, having had that few minutes in the spotlight leading after deferring the pit stop. The leaders are in traffic, trying to sort themselves out, coming down towards Graham Hill Bend, and Bill Burnett having to be quite brave there, going around the outside of the black Seat Clint compound at the wheel of it now. Goes round the outside, and Nick Starkey, again a hugely experienced driver, chases on behind him. Now, Mike Moss has just gained a bit more ground because of those pit stops and because of overtaking. He's a lap down, and he's in 16th place now. So there's still more progress to be made, but I don't think he can get the lap back on the race leaders. And the smoke out of the leading car coming out of Clark Curve. Traces of smoke. It's now stopped, but for a moment there was a bit of smoke out of the back of the leading yellow BMW. Let's just keep an eye to this and see if it becomes a problem. So the gap is 0.3 of a second, but for a moment there was a bit of a concern about the leader. In third place, number 90, George Wright, and he is being caught by the Nissan of Mark Gillam, which is trying to find a way through traffic. There's the Jones Golf to negotiate, and also that car is being chased by Ben Urim, who is right up behind as well, number 94. So third, fourth and fifth all concertinaing up as they go towards Druids. This is another beauty of these races. Not only are they full grids, they give tremendous battling all the way through the field all the time. The Nissan round the outside at Graham Hill Bend. Right up with him now is Ben Uren, who gets squeezed a bit towards the grass there, but he manages to find a way through the back markers and accelerate up towards Surtees, where there is a yellow flag, and I think we've lost the leader, and we've lost also Nick Starkey, because there's a back marker and they've tripped over the back marker. The yellow BMW is recovering, but slowly. And what about Nick Starkey's BMW? That
Just there.
is in the pit lane.
Oh, right. So you got Nick Starkey in the pit lane, have we? Has to be by his pit.
And that car is with damage. There's a white car, an Integra in, I think, heading in. That was the one that was involved as well. And then Bill Burnett has got going again and is staying out. But a word with Nick Starkey, I think, will elicit who did what to which and to whom.
Where did which corner?
Surtees,
right,
yes.
Okay. Yes, it's got damage to the left front wing. There's damage on the left front. So
the other car is 109, I think, that got involved in that. That's come into the pit lane. That's Ricky Coomber's Integra, yeah.
The bodywork is rubbing on the left front tyre, and with a big...
Go on, tell us.
I was just going to let you hear the noises off from Kevin Maxted, who's making Barry Williams type noises, actually. He thinks it's... Well, I know he was the driver. However, he gets his helmet off. Kevin, what were your thoughts about this? There you were, about to win the race.
We thought so. Yeah. We had plenty of time. The car in front of us hadn't even pitted.
What?
The car in front of us hadn't even pitted.
We'll find out in a moment from Nick what this is all about then.
Thanks to Ben, we pitted.
Ask how old he is. I think this is very critical of this race.
How old? Oh, well, we're about to have hot from the cockpit. What happened, Nick?
Well, I was coming down the side of him and he pushed me onto the grass, and I don't know, from there on
From there on, never. Well, yes. So Kevin's having a big laugh about it all.
Well, I didn't think it was very funny. I thought it was totally unnecessary. You know, I was going to have the corner. I was on the inside.
Well, bad luck.
Crazy. I mean, it's the first damage we've done to the car all year. We've been to Germany, God knows how many times. I'm a bit gutted, really, but there we go.
Bad luck. So Nick Starkey then. Perhaps Kevin's laughing because he's got to send the bill for the repairs. Anyway, they're out of the race.
Could you,
and big arm round Nick Starkey from Kevin Maxted.
Could you elicit whether he that squeezed him was the back marker or the other BMW? Because, as I say, there was that back marker Honda involved as well.
I'll do that off mic.
Yeah, thank you very much. Just to try and piece it all together. Well, what that has given us then now, even though the Burnett BMW survived, is number 94 Seat of Ben Uren leading the way from 139 Mark Gillam, and David Thomas, number 6, is up into third place. Number 90 George Wright is dropping away, but is fourth, and 28 is the yellow BMW, which by the sound of it was the aggressor in the incident with Nick Starkey, which has carried on in fifth place.
I had it.
Nick Starkey is still getting quite revved up about all this, as I can hear in the background. So, not very happy at all about his first damage of the year, as he's telling everybody. So, that's the situation. And the lead gap is going up a little bit now. Ben Uren, as he goes over the timing line, 7/10 away now from Mark Gillam. Ian.
Yeah. Well, you heard some of that in the background.
Yes.
But it was the Burnett car.
Right. Yeah.
But I think there's a smile on Nick Starkey's face at last. But
good.
There's still arms flying around as well. But
still in the pit lane is 109 Ricky Coomber, who was on the grass when I discovered the incident. So he might have a view on it if you can get to him.
But if you will wear Toyota overalls, as Nick Starkey is when you're driving a BMW, I mean, you know.
Well, I know.
Yeah, quite.
But Sam Oliveira wears Force India overalls and he keeps winning.
Well, yes, not in this race, but in another race. Yes, you'll see him later. Right, so yes, the Honda sits here. I'm heading that way now.
Thank you kindly.
How much longer have you got?
20 and a half.
Right, and just because I've been focusing on that, who's leading the race now?
94, Ben Uren.
Right.
By a Nat Semi-Crotchet, which is 0.588 of a second from 139 Mark Gillam's Nissan. Third is number 6 Clio, 4 seconds back, David Thomas. Fourth is number 90 George Wright Porsche. 3 seconds adrift of the top three. Fifth, after its spin, is 28 BMW of the Burnett's, and sixth, number 93 Kester Cook's Ford Fiesta. There you are.
Thank you.
Seventh is number 3 Clint Compan. Eighth is number 64 Jamie McHugh. Ninth is 154 Matt Nicol-Jones, and 10th is number 2, which is now Gary Littlewood. And Mike Moss is 13th, but his problem is he needs to gain a lap somehow on everybody else, which he would have gained back had the others pitted under a safety car. Under a live situation.
Have a word with Ricky Coomber. Ricky, you got caught up in somebody else's accident, I think, did you?
Yeah, obviously went wide to let a couple of M3s through, which decided to go side by side and spun themselves out, which obviously then collided with me. So
what's it done to your car?
Rear end, rear quarter, basically, just bent the rear wheel. So
disappointing, but until then it was going well. And it's a very smart car, if I may say so.
Yeah, not too bad.
We're going to have to do a bit of repairs to it now, but bad luck.
Yeah, a few repairs and back out. So yeah.
Okay, bad luck, Ricky. So let's look at the damage now. It's not too bad actually. That looks like a bit of polish there, but anyway, he knows better.
Don't kick it. I saw that. That was very aggressive.
No, it wasn't aggressive. It was whether I could dare put my foot on it to try and scrape some of that black tyre mark off it. That's what I was thinking.
Right. While you were talking to Ricky Coomber, Darren Stamp had a little moment coming out of Clearways over the grass, but he's survived. So Stamp has continued post-haste in 20th place in the E30 shaped BMW.
He's not licking everybody though, is he?
No, he's not. No, it's not a first-class drive, this, I'm afraid.
No.
Is that it? I think we've delivered enough on that.
Yeah.
Right, the lead gap is creeping up. It is now just over a second between Ben Uren and Mark Gillam, the garage owner, the Oxford garage owner. But behind them is David Thomas in the Clio. And then in fourth place, it is George Wright's Porsche. Now, Bill Burnett, after that spin, whether it's affected the car, I don't know, but the pace isn't quite as good as it was earlier on. He's now struggling to really come back at those ahead of him. So can he be caught? In sixth is Kester Cook. Well, that's a long way back, the Ford Fiesta, so no, that's not going to happen. Where else is there a battle developing? Seventh now, Clint Compan's Seat is being caught by number 64, Jamie McHugh. And Matt Nicol-Jones is in 9th place, and he is being caught a little bit, although traffic has a lot to play in this, by number 2, the Gary Littlewood Renault Clio. Mike Moss is in 15th place, but has now pitted, number 79 BMW. So that car that was very strong early on and has got the fastest lap of the race, I'm afraid, is in the pits.
I'm just wondering whether it's a consequence of the earlier incident that is now...
Maybe, yes.
Because they're looking at the left front part of the car, and that is where the contact was made, but they're waving it out again. So he's possibly concerned. Let's see if I can find out. What was he worried about? Is that consequence of the earlier incident?
No, he's had another incident since his one previously in the race. He's now wide. His tracking's gone quite heavily out of line, and a vibration from the front left wheel. But a quick inspection, and we can't see anything major. So hopefully he can get back out on pace.
You called him in very early. Of course, you weren't to know there was going to be a safety car, but the idea was to get him in early in his pit stop window, and then hopefully have a clear run to the end. But the safety car kind of helped the others, not you.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We took a gamble. We wanted to get him in as soon as possible. He's got a hell of a lot of field to make his way up through and some very fast cars. So we brought him in as soon as that pit window opened, and it was working, like you say, until the safety car. But you win some, you lose some.
That's right. It was worth the try. Bad luck.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you. So there we are.
Team.
Mike Moss back in the race. Sorry?
What a jolly team.
Yes, they are. Very much so. They're bubble and kick. Well, why bubble and kick? Why bubble and kick?
It was my brother and I's nickname when we were children. Our parents.
Which one are you?
I'm Kick.
Okay, thank you.
My pleasure.
Where's Bubble?
Up on the wall.
Okay, okay. Say hello to him for us.
I shall do.
Thanks very much. Okay, cheers. There we are. I didn't get into further inquiries about why Bubble and why Kick, but anyway, we now know which is which. Oh, he's back in. He's back in.
Oh dear.
So
the bubble has burst.
Yes, quite. So, what is it? A very jolly team.
Right, we now have running in sequence Stamp, Winch and Moss, punnable drivers all, and the race has got 15.5 minutes to go, and as I say, this lead gap is continuing to widen. Even though Mark Gillam looked pretty strong when he took the car over, he's not being able to stay on the back of the number 94 Seat, so it means therefore that for the time being at least, the BAB Motorsport Seat Leon Cooper R, the 1800cc turbo car, is going strongly. Ben and Adam in their third race in the season, in fact, in this car. It's a car that goes back to 2004, so it's done quite a few miles, but not been all that active in this year's series. And it leads the way now by 2 seconds. Now, are we going to have a change for second place? Is the Nissan going to get caught by the end? I don't think it is. It looks pretty secure there. Over the line now goes number 94. So Ben Uren is through. The pit window is closed, but that matters not because everybody that's still circulating had pitted. Through in second place, the Nissan continuing to fade away, 3 seconds now, and a yellow flag is waved because there's another car that's flung itself off the road at Paddock, and it is in the gravel, and 189, I think it is, that has come to grief. That would be Grandad Racing's Honda Integra for Chris Ledbury, who, like Mark Stewart, races in the BARC South East Centre Sports Saloon Series in a Tiger. So that car is off the road. Is it safe where it is? Marshals are heading towards it, but that might need a bit of retrieval, that car. As the leaders, in the meantime, battle on to lap 45. We've got 14 more minutes to go, and BMWs sit rather forlornly now in the pit lane. The safety car is going to be deployed again, I'm afraid to say, which will close things up, and it will perhaps bring 1 or 2 more drivers back into the game. So this is the second safety car period of the race, and it's going to be to get this car 189 out of harm's way at Paddock. Right, the car that needs to be picked up by the safety car, the leading car, is Seat number 94, and that is coming down towards Graham Hill Bend now. The safety car starts to make its way onto the circuit, and this should be okay because there's, in fact, to be fair to Ben Uren, he's seen the boards, he's seen the flags, he's back right off, and should therefore make this a fairly easy situation for the officials to deal with. Yes, 1 car is allowed by the safety car, it picks up the leader, everybody is now in good order. Ian?
To say that Mike Moss is heading for the paddock.
Right, okay. So, great shame that, because the car early on looked like it might have been a factor. But with its bubbles and its kicks, it is no more. And the recovery vehicle is going to head to paddock as soon as it's permitted. I think they need to get the cars in one long line, really, and we're almost there. Yes, so there's a gap now, it can go, This is lap 46 just being completed and 13 minutes remain.
On lap times, the Nissan vis-a-vis the leading car, what were the lap times like?
It's been dropping away lap after lap, I'm afraid. Only by a few tenths, but you add it all together and the gap widens. But in turn, it has been just quicker than the Clio in third place of David Thomas, so it's kind of stalemate between those three, sadly.
But they will now be closer to each other a little.
Yeah, I mean the Clio is going to be right in the game, and what does this do for Bill Burnett's BMW? That will get him a lot closer to George Wright's Porsche. It's only 5 on the lead lap now. Matt Nicol-Jones, I think, has a chance to gain a bit more ground before the end.
Where's he at the moment?
He is currently 10th, but a lap adrift. The race order and the top 5 are all on the lead lap, okay? Number 94, Seat, ahead of 139 Nissan, ahead of number 6, David Thomas's Clio. 4th, number 90 Porsche, 5th, 28 BMW. And then a lap down, 6th, number 93, Kester Cook's Fiesta. That stopped early, didn't it? 7th, number 3, Clint Compan's Seat. 8th, number 64, Jamie McHugh's Porsche. 9th, number 2, Gary Littlewood's Clio. 10th, 154, Matt Nicol-Jones, Mazda. That is the order as we stand. And, as I say, 11.5 minutes remain. So the cars go through. The incident zone is Paddock Hill Bend. That car of Chris Ledbury now being pulled from the gravel bed. And whoops! Very, very strange driving on the pit straight. Car number 50, which suddenly accelerated and locked up. That was Anthony Sharp, who stood on the brakes. I was just about to tell you of an accident because he got so close to the back of the car ahead with everything locked up. Thankfully, contact was avoided. But why on earth that should happen under the safety car is, I'm afraid, a mystery. But it's the Lotus in question, number 50, the Lotus Elise, that is in 12th place, Anthony Sharp, but having come towards the completion of the lap at a reasonable speed, then he had to brake very, very hard and locked up, and there was tar smoke, and an accident very narrowly avoided there. He very nearly thundered into the back of number 27, which is the Honda CRX of now, Gavin Spencer. Right, the safety car is over at Clearways. 10 minutes and change are on the clock. The Honda has been pulled out of the gravel, and I think we'll now go and park at the bottom of the hill at Paddock. Yes, at Tumbledown Hill on the what's left of the old Rallycross circuit. You can see the faint traces of the old Rallycross track there. So it parks out of harm's way. The recovery vehicle hopefully can peel off at the back of Cooper Straight. So I would hope this is the last lap behind the safety car. And there are 2 back markers between the leading 2 cars. 1 back marker second to third. 2 back markers third to fourth. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 back markers between 4th and 5th. The safety car is indeed going to come in this lap. And so we'll go back to racing with the Seat of Ben Uren in the lead of the race. It was 2.5 seconds ahead of the Nissan last time, but there are also 2 back markers, and you can't overtake until you get to the timing line. So Mark Gillam, even if he has got the speed to go with the race leader, is going to have to wait until the other cars have got to the timing point, by which stage the gap will have widened yet further, because already Ben Uren is getting away, and it's Adam McKeever behind him in the orange BMW of Mad Motorsport that is not, by any stretch of the imagination, matching the pace of the leading car, which now accelerates through Clark Curve, heading up towards the line. So Ben Uren gets the race underway. We go green with 9 minutes to go, and then behind him there's this traffic jam of cars. Now the race gets underway for the second place man, Mark Gillam. He charges past Darren Stamp, but David Thomas, third in the yellow Clio, could be a bit of a threat here because he's closed up under the safety car like this. In 4th place is the yellow Porsche of George Wright. And then 5th, just going over the timing line now, Bill Burnett in the yellow BMW. So he goes through Paddock, still with quite a lot of traffic to work his way past, and it looks as though the Urans may well be on for a victory here, because I can't see Mark Gillam getting close enough. He's been losing pace before the safety car. What may happen is a change for second position if David Thomas is really on his toes in the Renault. Going now up through Surtees, heading to McLaren for the 50th time. So 3 safety cars in the Track Day Trophy yesterday, 2 in the Team Trophy, in different conditions, totally different conditions. Over the line then comes, then with 8 minutes to go, the leading car. Through goes 94 now, which is Ben Uren. And the gap that he's got is 2.9 seconds, but there's clear road between them. And then in third place, David Thomas, who is really charging down. He has to lap Kester Cook's Fiesta there and be quite brave about it and quite ruthless going into paddock. He gets by, heads uphill to the right-hander Druids, and if he's got the opportunity and he doesn't have to worry too much about back markers, I think he's still got a chance of gaining second place before the end of the race. Down towards Graham Hill Bend he comes. Mark Gillam, having been dropping away before the safety car, looks like he's fading back now from the Seat. Yes, he lost 7/10 on that last lap alone. So Ben Uran leads the way. He's going now up through McLaren, out of clearways, heading up towards the line. And 7 more minutes of the race remain. Second is where we're going to get the battle, not for the lead, but David Thomas in the 2-litre Clio is catching the 3.5-litre Nissan. The Nissan is a road car that's progressively been upgraded to a racer, whereas the Clio is, of course, one built for the Clio Cup, so it's a proper race-bred car. It goes racing straight out of the box. Into Paddock Hill Bend, the gap between them is 1.3 seconds. Yes, only a tenth quicker is David Thomas, but he's chipping away. In 4th place through number 90, George Wright, and then in 5th place, number 28, William or Bill Burnett, who's a bit too far back now to challenge. He's still hustling on, but of course that car that was leading earlier on, tangling with Nick Starkey. You've heard Nick's side of things. And that car goes now up towards Druids, but is not, I fear, going to gain any more ground before the end of the race after its delay with a spin. And quite a lengthy process to get going again after the moment over at Surtees. So it was leading, it's now 5th, and this gives you number 94 as the leading car, the Seat, which is up towards the end of lap 52. 6 more minutes are on the clock. How is the Nissan Clio battle getting on? It's still not quite developing. There's just a bit too much of a gap and not quite enough extra speed for David Thomas to be able to get onto terms. And in fact, that time around he loses out. The gap widens once again. So he's giving it his all, but the car, it's only a 2-litre against a 3.5-litre car, can't make up the deficit. 4th going through George Wright, still in traffic in the number 90 Porsche, trying to lap the 7th place car of Clint Campagna. And then we've got in 5th place Bill Burnett, a lap back. 6th is number 93. Now, Kester Cook in the Fiesta is being caught for 6th place by number 3, Clint Campagna in the Wingat Racing Seat, and they're almost together coming into Graham Hill Bend, and they've got the lead lap Porsche with them as well. So the black and red Seat now tries to make its move for 6th place, going up towards Surtees, and easily goes by Kester Cook in an elevated 6th place early on because he stopped quite early to make the mandatory pit stop. So he goes now up towards Surtees, and as he does so, he has lost out. So number 3, Clint Campagna, up into 6th position. That's as good as it will get because he's a lap down on the leading 5. So unless anybody else has a problem, then that's where it's reached for him, really. That's the peak. The car's got good speed, though. It's still fighting with the Porsche of George Wright. Now, George Wright is certainly fading away here, and he's being caught by Bill Burnett, who I think was 15 seconds back on the restart. He is now just 2 seconds back and might get 4th before the very end of the race, which is now 4.5 minutes away. Out of Druids comes George Wright. Now, he in turn is being held up a little bit because the Porsche at certain parts of the circuit is quicker than the Seat, which has just got past it. Clint Campagna is ahead for the moment, but through the corners the Seat is quicker and able to keep the Porsche at bay. So George Wright, number 90, being caught by 28 as they go up towards Surtees. Now into the left-hander. Again, the Porsche a bit delayed there by the slower car, which he shouldn't in a sense have to fight with. And Bill Burnett is right up behind Wright, going in towards the exit of Clearways now, up towards Clark Curve for the 55th time. The leading 3 have already gone through, but now 4th place is where the battle is on for. Heading up towards the line, the Porsche goes through now. George Wright at the wheel of it, and the gap is just 0.3 of a second. So that's going to change before the end, barring a disaster. So 4th place should go the way, some consolation for Bill Burnett. He's going to try on the inside line. Yes, going up towards Druids. The 2 yellow perils side by side into the braking zone. George Wright brakes very, very late and tries to go all the way around the outside of Clint Campagna's pesky Seat, but he comes out of the corner with the BMW alongside and slightly in advance, but on the outside line, and they touch going into Graham Hill Bend there. Bill Burnett tried to take the line, which was not a good idea because the Porsche was absolutely dead set alongside him. So yet again, Bill Burnett, I'm afraid, involved in contact, and he's got through, but in a rather robust fashion, and George Wright ends up, after being biffed by the BMW, losing the place, going now, and there's another big cloud of smoke. Somebody, I think, has had a mechanical drama going through Clearways, and we've got the Honda CRX off the road. There's a Clio, I think, that's gone rally crossing as well. Everybody has sorted themselves out. Big cloud of smoke, and more cars going off the circuit. Is that oil? Yes, slippery surface flag, I think, coming out. Number 2 Clio it was that seemed to lose all traction, and that is Gary Littlewood, and that was a car that was running in the top 10. So right towards the end, that car off the road. It's trying to rejoin, I think, but as that went off, so also in avoidance did 27, the Honda CRX. It's all happening at the end, isn't it? That was Gavin Spencer's car. We've got 2.5 minutes to go. Ian?
Yes, I've got Kester Cook's car in the pits.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. Kester, what's the problem?
I've got a bit of a tap going into paddock by the yellow Clio, but main problem is I've run out of fuel. Too tight.
Well, there we are. I thought you were going to put it blame on somebody else, but you wouldn't have got to the end anyway.
No, I think the steering's a bit damaged well, because the steering wheel's gone a bit wonky, so something's not right there, but it's the fuel issue mainly.
So steering, fuel, tap in the back. Anything else?
I think that's it.
Okay, thank you very much, Kester. Bad luck, because you're in the top 10. Bad luck. There we are, David.
Thank you very much. Yes, he was running in 6th place, wasn't he, as his best,
right.
And then it faded. Well, I know why it faded now, because there was no juice to make it go any quicker. Right, thanks for that. So Kester Cook is out of the race. That now means that the McHughes gap to 7th. Matt Jones and Mark Warnier, number 154, go 8th. 9th is the Honda CRX, number 27, and 10th is number 78, which is the Snetterton winning car of Edward McKean, now Richard Evans, which has been a bit modest in this race, but even so, it can go well on occasions.
Yeah.
A minute and a half remains.
Right.
And the leaders are pretty much sorted out. Bill Burnett's slightly aggressive manner of getting 4th place has worked for him, but he's still stuck behind Clint Compan's 6th place Seat, and he's trying to find a way past him, and George Wright is not letting the BMW get away, so that could yet change depending on what the situation is with back markers. And Burnett slows coming onto the pit straight, and the Porsche easily breezes by. What's happened to the BMW all of a sudden? Is that fuel related? Going up towards paddock, the BMW tried to get past the Seat, lost pace. It's not gone agonisingly slowly, but it just hesitated. The Porsche is back ahead then, so that puts now number 90 George Wright back up into 4th place, which is where he was before Bill Burnett caught up, and yet again he's trying to find a way past the black Seat as they come down towards Graham Hill Bend, but Bill Burnett is stuck behind him. And is Clint Compan going to get out of the way of the Porsche? They're quite evenly matched, those cars, even though they're on different laps. So George Wright lapping in the 56s, and Clint Compan last time did a 57, granted, but that's partly because he's in traffic. The Porsche this time is ahead, so that puts Clint Compan now between George Wright and Bill Burnett, who's going to have another go at getting past him. They will go on to their last lap. We've got 13 seconds and counting, in fact 10 seconds now in the race. So the leader is on his last lap, the leader being number 94 Ben Uren, having taken over from Adam early in the race, and an excellent effort these two have put in. On target, it seems, for victory, in a very welcome return for them to the Club MSV Team Trophy. And the clock has hit 0. The flag is being made ready. Look for a Seat. It comes now through Clark Curve. Headlights ablaze. 2 back markers ahead. But it's a win for Ben and Adam Uren, who come through. 59 laps done. In 2nd place, number 139, Steve Burke and Mark Gillam. And for 3rd place, number 6, David Thomas. For top 3 home. And then for 4th, is it going to be the number 90 Porsche, or is 28 Bill Burnett going to be able to fight back? They are coming through Clark Curve. The Porsche is going to end up ahead, and actually by quite some margin. I think again Clint Compan thought he was defending for a place, and that's got in the way rather of the BMW, which on the line gets mugged for track position by number 8, which is the earlier delayed BMW of Mark Flower. It doesn't affect the result, but again Bill Burnett towards the end just going very slowly relative to what the car was doing early on. So number 94 takes the win, Ben and Adam Uren. 2nd, number 139, Steve Burke and Mark Gillam, and they win their class. 3rd, number 6, David Thomas. 4th, number 90, George Wright and Jim Cameron, they win a class. 5th, number 28, the Burnetts, and 6th, number 3, Mike Morace and Clint Compan. 7th, class winners, number 64, the McHughes. 8th, 27, Andy Hancock and Gavin Spencer. 9th, class winners, Matt Jones and Mark Warnier. And 10th, number 50, Anthony Sharp and David Scarborough's Lotus Elise. Full results of that race I'll give you as soon as we have them. The results of Heat 2 for the V Festival you might want for page 14. And first there was number 1, Sam Oliveira. Second was number 5, Paul Smith. And third, 35, Dan Ditchford. Fourth, 77, Matthew Perks. Fifth, 41, Paul Taylor. Sixth, 7, Peter Belzy. Seventh, 12, Ian Jordan. Eighth, 30, Ben Maludi. Ninth, 43, John Stapleton. And 10th, number 99, Gethin Jones. The winner's time, 12 minutes, 25.545 seconds. 12:25.545. 14 laps were done at an average of 81.65 miles an hour, 81.65. The fastest lap, number 1, Sam Oliveira, 52.021 seconds. 52.021, 83.59 mph, 83.59. That sorts out results, and what I now need to do is the grid for the next race, because it's another handicap race. This is Groups B and C for the Victor Meldrew Trophy. And where's the grid got to? There it is. It's going to be 15 laps once again, and I know Ian will burst forward with a podium, but let me at least make a start on the grid as best we can, then you know who's going to be where. And again, credit laps need to be borne in mind for this as well. So pole position for this race is going to be number 99, Matt Smith, and he has a credit lap. And with him at the front, number 119, and that is Alistair Lindsay, and he has a credit lap. The second row, and these are all on the scratch mark, number 5, which is Vic Hope's Corrado, 1 credit lap, and 141, Mark Hodder, who also has a credit lap in his Golf. And the third row, 56 and 16, 56, Neil Adams, 1 credit lap, and 16, Terry Nichols, back out with a Jaguar, 1 credit lap. Then, at 5 seconds, number 89, which is Nick Starkey, assuming that car is made ready, of course, because oh no, different car, isn't it? Yes, Honda Integra for this race, so he's okay. 29 on the outside of that row is one of the extras, Steve Rothery. Then number 100 lines up, which is John Wilcox, and alongside him is 55, Chris Whiteman. They all go on the 5-second mark. At 15 seconds will be number 40, which is Warren Gazzard, and he has a credit lap. And 132, which is Charles Plumley, and he has a credit lap. Number 123 is on the next row, Nigel Innes, no credit laps. 41 alongside him is Jody Howells, quickest in qualifying, no credit laps. 116 on the next row, Gary Fryer. And 38 on the outside of that row is Carl Catliff. And then the last car in that group, 188, if it's there, is Matt Selden. But the car I don't think we saw in qualifying, so there's a question mark over that. Then on 35 seconds are the remainder. And car 153, Ian Clark, who has 1 credit lap, lines up alongside 43, Rhys Jones, 1 credit lap. The second row of that group, number 7, which is Glenn Rossiter with a credit lap, and 191. And I've lost him. Mike Collins, 1 credit lap. Number 30 on the next row is Gary Barlow, 1 credit lap, and 21 alongside is Danny Casser, 1 credit lap. There's number 115 on the next row, which is David Margulies, BMW, 1 credit lap, and 69, Elliot Dunmore, BMW, 1 credit lap. And the back row of the grid, number 27, which is Eric Fowles Fiesta, he's a former winner of the event, and he's got 1 credit lap. And car number 50, if it is there, Kieran Lehane, 3 credit laps for him, if that car, as I say, does take the grid, because we didn't see very much of it in qualifying. 188 is a question mark, 50 is a question mark. Right, that's how they're going to line up eventually. Hopefully there's going to be a podium for the Club MSV Team Trophy before that. I'll say hopefully, because yesterday in the Track Day Trophy all the cars were whisked away by the scrutineers.
Well, I've seen at least David Thomas walking this way, so you know the way I mean, and the others I think are heading this way as well, David, so it shouldn't be long before we have the podium. Yes, I think the drivers are being corralled and will be on the podium very shortly.
Okay, splendid. And then
move on. Nick Starkey is busy in his Toyota overalls getting into Honda, as you said. What was 189 in the race we've just had, the little Honda comes down the pit lane, is having the number 1 peeled off it. It becomes 89 for the race we're about to see.
Right, and it was in the gravel in the earlier race, wasn't it? Mark Stewart put it in the gravel. Chris Ledbury put it in the gravel.
If you say so, David.
The Grandad racing car.
Yes, that's right. No, I won't go to the next bit of the story. I'll tell you that later.
No, all right.
About Granddads. Right. So we've got, should have 5 drivers, in fact. There's two to come. Right.
Okay, and race is being rattled through as rapidly as possible. We are fact due to get the Victor Meldrew Trophy race starting now, actually. So there's quite a bit of retrieval from clearways. We've got a Clio that needed retrieving. Yes, that car heads down the pit lane now. Bit of track sweeping, and then we should be ready to go. No green flag lap, so it will have to be a fairly brisk podium, as the marshals, I think, on every corner have a report to hand in about something that happened. Lots happened over at Surtees. I just wonder whether that drama late in the race put any liquid on the road. Ian.
Well, yeah, we're still waiting for two to arrive.
Oh, right. Sorry, I thought you were...
I was switching the microphone on in readiness. Oh, here we are. One more.
And just to tell you, cars are heading to the grid as well now, so
okay.
No green flag lap, but they're heading to the grid.
Oh, right, okay, well,
Shall we just capture this?
Oh, carry on, says David Woolley. Yes, okay. So in third place, David Thomas in the Renault Clio on his own. David Thomas, big cheer. Well done, David. Sorry, yes, by all means, yes. And somebody's going to hand him his bottle, or he's going to help himself to it. David, come on, yeah, off you go. Right, in second place, we did Steve Burke and Mark Gillam. Steve Burke and Mark Gillam, I said, just getting here in time, so on to the second place on the podium, guys, please. Well done. Big cheer. And the winners of the ClubMSV Team Trophy are Ben and Adam Uren, whose great uncle, Jeff Uren, was British touring car champion in 1959 in a Ford Zephyr. So there we are. And they're on the top of the podium. And they can, of course, spray the champagne because they're not racing again today, which means I'm not going to stand around on the podium. You shut the door on me. Right, so I'll try and have a... Come on, get the cork out. Crikey, they're taking ages. We've got another race to start. There we are. Don't want to provoke them too much. You've done the grid, you've done everything you need to do about it. Right, there's champagne flying. Gosh, let's have a word. Adam and Ben, who's going to speak first? Good race.
I will. The race is unbelievable. We made a conscious decision probably about 10 minutes before the race to go older tyres. There's only one man, me and my brother, need to thank for this, and he's down there, my dad. Nobody else has given us a hand at all. It's that man there.
And yes, Ben?
Yeah. For the first time ever, I've learnt to learn how to start a front-wheel drive car off of the grid. I don't ever want to do it again, ever. Thank you, everyone.
Oh, well done. And as I say, a motor racing family as well, with Jeff Uren, who died recently, the British Saloon Car Champion in 1959. Right, yes, how about your race?
Very good, yeah. Slight excursion onto the grass through the first stint, but the car felt good. Yeah, so shame about the grass, but the driver change went very well, and Mark obviously took it home from there. Very, very good drive.
Quick word, Mark.
Yeah, it's quite good fun in the traffic. Reminds me of when we were racing the Beatles. That's what we really enjoyed, the overtaking and trying to chase the front-wheel drive car, but we just couldn't catch it. But it's not a bad wedding anniversary, because my first wedding anniversary today. I got married a year ago today.
Well remembered. Well done, yes. And David, quick word from you. Third place.
Yeah, just a great race. Thanks to my mechanic, Mark. He's done a fantastic job. And thanks to MSV for a great series.
Thanks very much, David. David Thomas then in third place. Right, David, back to you.